InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of InvestorIdeas.com podcasts. In today's podcast, I'm going to be looking at a few public company announcements from Neptune Wellness Solutions Incorporated, trading on the NASDAQ and the TSX as NEPT, CURLF Holdings Incorporated, trading on the CSE as CURA and the OTCQX as CURLF, Medical Marijuana Incorporated, trading on the OTC as MJNA, Optima Health Corporation, trading on the CSE as OPTI, as well as Silo Wellness Incorporated, trading on the CSE as SILO. So first today, starting with Neptune Wellness Solutions, who announced that the Health Canada has provided the company with a license amendment to allow it to now sell dried cannabis flower and pre-rolled cannabis in the Canadian recreational market. Now, Neptune currently supplies the market with premium cannabis extracts under its Mood Ring and Pan Hash brands, and will now be expanding its offering to include all regulated product categories. Now, this empowers the company to provide a comprehensive portfolio, enhance its total addressable market, and target the lucrative flower segment, which is a dominant force in the industry, both in sales and revenue. Dried flower and associated products derived therefrom will be the latest addition to Neptune's collection of cannabis products, which includes high CBD oil capsules, and legacy hashish, said Neptune Wellness Solutions President, Chief Executive Officer Michael Camarata. Now, the license amendment enables Neptune to leverage trusted partnerships across its supply chain to acquire unique and highly sought-after cultivars, and the company's dried flower will then be carefully selected and curated by award-winning cannabis sommelier, and then hand-packaged in a premium packaging. Now, this ensures that the integrity and quality of the carefully sourced flower will be maintained and preserved to provide some premium quality for the customer. And the ability to source exceptional flower from any licensed producer will afford flexibility to maximize emerging commercial opportunities and will safeguard Neptune from increased industry volatility. It's a very exciting time for Neptune, allowing us to sell all categories of recreational cannabis to meet the demands of our Canadian consumers, said Mr. Camarata. We're excited to bring the market premium dried cannabis flower products that are packaged to preserve their quality and portfolio. And today's announcement follows Neptune Wellness Solution entering into a letter of intent with the Société Québécoise de Cannabis, or the SQDC, the province's sole legal retailer for recreational cannabis, for the sale of Neptune's new cannabis brand Pan Hash. Pan Hash going into Quebec, and then for Neptune, they now have access to dried flower. I do hope that they're focusing on the premium segment of that market, and I do think that it's going to be a strategy for most of these companies, even the ones that have been heavily focusing on extracts or Cannabis 2.0 products, is to have dried flower accessible to them, as you're starting to see that the consumer market is starting to be more aware of which rare cultivars they are after. You're starting to see certain strains sell out very quickly and be well sought after in certain retail establishments. And then as well, that does give them access to turn those products into extracts, obviously, afterwards, or into second generation products, which I'm assuming they will do as well. But I do think that for any large scale producer brand or company in Canada, if you're looking at this, having access to dried flower is going to be fairly essential, especially as more and more craft cultivators are coming into the market. That's really what's starting to change the overall landscape of the Canadian retail market right now, is the fact that you're having more and more of these micro-cultivator licenses get granted. You're having more and more of these very niche brands show up and be very successful in the markets that they launch in. Again, there's a few in BC that have done very well for themselves in the dried flower segment, and again have focused on specific cultivars that consumers are dramatically looking for. And as more and more of those micro cultivators and at least, let's say, smaller scale production producers come out to the market, a company like a Neptune, or again any of these second generation products, obviously Valens has been working with lots of different cultivators in the past, they're going to then have the advantage to bring some of those well sought after cultivars to the market themselves, or again work in partnership with those companies to produce next generation products. So I think this will be a big step forward for Neptune, and you should hopefully see some premium bud or premium bud products come from them over the next couple of months. And then again, also expecting their Pan Hash to be dropping in Quebec in the next couple of months as well. Moving on to CURLF Holdings, who today launched Select Squeeze, which is a fast-acting THC-infused beverage enhancer featuring nano-emulsification technology. So in addition to the product's innovative nature, the debut of Select Squeeze marks a significant milestone as one of the cannabis industry's widest national product launches. And Select Squeeze is among the first cannabis products with mass availability, as it becomes accessible to a total addressable population of 94 million adults aged 21 and up. Now, Select was known as America's #1 cannabis oil brand and has a variety of best-in-class cannabis products, in over 1,500 locations across 18 states. The curation of those products is unique to each market, reflecting the various regulations at a local level. Now, continuing on its path to become the first nationally recognized cannabis brand, Select is determined to provide patients and customers with consistent access to the products they know and trust. And starting this week, Select Squeeze is launching simultaneously across 9 state lines, including Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, Oklahoma, Oregon, Utah, and Vermont. And in April, Select Squeeze will be launching in an additional 5 states, including California, Florida, Illinois, Nevada, and Ohio. Now, Select Squeeze is an advanced formulation that utilizes nanotechnology to transform any beverage into a THC-infused flavor-enhanced experience. By turning cannabis oil into tiny water-soluble molecules, the THC compounds not only dissolve evenly into any beverage, but are also more rapidly and efficiently absorbed into the bloodstream, with the effects felt in as little as 15 to 30 minutes, which is significantly faster than traditional edibles. Now, the product's intuitive proprietary bottle design features a unique fill and pour reservoir that makes precision dosing more straightforward than ever, and the compact design also makes it ideal for discreet enjoyment on the go. So it's going to be launching with 4 flavor varieties, including lemon lime, watermelon, strawberry lemonade, and a hint of sweet, for allowing effective flavor pairings with a wide range of beverages, both hot and cold. Now, CURLF has been at the forefront of creating sophisticated cannabis experiences and introducing high-quality, consistent consumer products in a variety of form functions, said Joe Byen, CEO of CURLF. And we're incredibly excited to launch Select Squeeze across multiple states, as this new product not only addresses the rising market demand for edibles and beverage products, but also underscores the mainstream adoption of cannabis products across a diverse array of U.S. customers. Select Squeeze, I've talked a lot about the Select brand for CURLF in the past. That brand has done significantly well in the markets they've launched it in. And I do think that really the big milestone here to be paying attention to is the scale of this launch of this product. This is definitely the most aggressive, large-scale launch you've seen in the U.S., probably even compared to a lot of Canadian launches. Most Canadian product launches are still going province by province and fairly small scale. So to be launching this in that many states at once and then expanding that over the next month is pretty aggressive on the part of CURLF. If they do successfully launch all those products into all those states, I think that's going to be a big proof of concept for them as a company, as far as a multi-state operator, that they can actually maintain product consistency and brand consistency over a multitude of states in a very short amount of time. That has been a really big difficulty for a lot of these companies to maintain, as again, you are dealing with different regulatory approvals in each of these states that you're entering into. Even just slight things like packaging differences, dosage differences, etc., which areas you can launch into, how you can launch into them. So the fact that they're able to do this, and if this is launched successfully, I think will kind of cement them as one of the main beverage brands. That's something, again, in the U.S. market and Canadian market, there hasn't really been any beverage brand that has really jumped ahead of the rest. Again, in Canada, you've seen that most of the beverages that have hit the market have sold well, but there hasn't really been, again, any overall dominator as far as overall sales metrics or where you're seeing even consistency of a brand. So again, there are lots of beverages available in the Canadian market, but you're not seeing the same products in every single province. And because of that, a lot of these brands are having difficulty gaining overall nationwide traction. And similarly in the US, there's a lot of brands that have done really well in California, really well in Nevada, really well in Colorado, but they haven't really done an amazing job in all 3. Those are big markets to enter into. There's a lot of competition, and I do think that for CURLF, this would be a great way to cement them as, again, one of the leading brands. Again, focusing on THC infused versus a CBD beverage. There's lots of CBD beverage brands as well. And again, there's a real difficulty there in trying to separate yourself from the pack. And I do also like that, again, they're focusing on that nano-emulsification to have fast-acting dosage. That is one of the most consistent issues when you're looking at edibles or any second-generation product is the onset time. So any of the companies who have improved on this, that usually does equal a benefit in their sales. And it'll be also interesting to see what the dosage will be for these products going out onto the market, if they're going to maintain a lower dosage or try to have a higher dosage or have a range. I think that will be probably one of the biggest factors. I would assume they're going to end on a lower range so that way they can get more consumers into more markets. Because again, that has been another issue that you've seen with lots of beverages in the States, is really inconsistent dosage levels throughout different areas that they're launching into. And again, a lot of the times they're aiming for either a very high dose market or a very low dose market, and not really a lot of avenues in between. And again, having those higher dose products out on the market has caused some skepticism towards beverages and edibles. And again, it does offer the opportunity for a customer to have a off or weird or bad experience, which is not what you want to have for a customer's first experience of your product. So I'll be very interested to see how the Select Squeeze launch goes and to see how those sales change over the next coming months. Definitely something to pay attention to. Next, looking at Medical Marijuana Incorporated, who reports today that subsidiary Canaway participated in and today announces the recent positive results of the Validicare clinical study. Now, the study used Canaway's hemp-derived CBD products as part of an effort to meet the Food and Drug Administration's request for data on the use of botanical CBD with regard to potential liver toxicity issues, which seem to occur with the pharmaceutical version of CBD. Now, according to Validicare's team of principal investigators, the study showed no evidence of liver toxicity in 839 trial participants who ingested oral forms of hemp-derived CBD for a minimum of 60 days. And the investigators met with the FDA, the Cannabis Product Council, formerly known as the Cannabis Work Group, on Monday, March 15th, to share these findings and answer the organization's March 5th request for scientific-based data to help determine the appropriate regulatory path for hemp-derived CBD products. Now, blood markers for the ALT, AST, and ALP and bilirubin levels were examined during the study. These study results help support the work that we've been doing in Mexico and Brazil to study CBD's safety and efficacy, said Medical Marijuana Incorporated CEO Dr. Stuart Titus. We hope to continue to participate in similar future studies so that the world can continue to have expanded access to high-quality botanical products. I'm glad to see the participating stakeholders with long-term visions banding together to make industry-wide progress that ultimately will benefit the end consumers. And our company is involved with similar research in Europe in conjunction with the European Industrial Hemp Association. So the brands that participated in this study provided funding, products, certificates of authenticity, and assisted in the recruitment of adult U.S.-based consumers. And the use of Validicare's decentralized clinical research platform and participation with national laboratories enabled participants and principal investigators to successfully complete the first cohort despite the pandemic and compile and deliver results to the brand and to the FDA within 6 weeks. As the creators of some of the first testing measures of the entire CBD industry, many are still used by other companies today, and we are proud to be part of this study and continue to be leaders in CBD safety testing, said Canaway's CEO Blake Schroeder. Providing the highest quality, safest products on the market is something we are proud of. So again, this is going to be something I've talked a lot about the sort of upcoming regulations. There's a lot of pressure on the FDA to finally have some cemented regulations surrounding CBD. I talked a lot about in the past how there could be a separation where you could have your pharmaceutical grade CBD and then your hemp-derived natural CBD. And it does seem more and more like that is going to be looking like the case, like you will have almost two separate entities within the market. So there will be more the pharmaceutical grade products, which will require a lot more probably research and development before they're allowed to the market. They're probably going to have much stricter regulations, and it will probably sort of close the doors to most companies that are not already based in the pharmaceutical industry entirely. So there are going to be some negatives associated with that, but hopefully what that does mean is that most companies move to a full spectrum, naturally derived CBD product, which again is what most of these companies are boasting anyways, because they've shown that not only are these products more healthy to the overall consumer, but they're more efficacious in general. When you're seeing the isolated CBD, you're seeing that there's a lot of issues. There is potential liver damage. There is allergies that have formed. There is adverse side effects, similar to a lot of the regulated pharmaceutical products we already see on the market today. You buy something that is supposed to cure one ailment, and it gives you a potential of 100,000 side effects. And that is something that the cannabinoid-based industry is trying to avoid in general, is make actually plant-based products 100% derived from the plants. So they are natural, and also, again, the entourage effect has been measured. It's been proven. This is a massive thing when you're looking at CBD, THC, or just anything based off of cannabinoids, is if you do not have multiple cannabinoids working in tandem together, you lose a massive amount of efficacy for your products. So this is another downside to the isolated CBD market. And hopefully, again, what we see is that there will be a much easier access for cultivators who are creating their own hemp-derived CBD products from, again, natural hemp products. and from the full plant extract. So I think that that will be a little bit easier to get products to market, which again might allow for simpler regulations when it comes to what they can add the CBD to. So for instance, if it's a naturally derived hemp CBD product, it might be easier as far as regulations for adding that to a food or beverage product and bringing it to market in less of a pharmaceutical sense. And I do think that your isolated or, again, synthesized CBD products may have to be actually prescription-based medicines that are actually much more highly regulated and only coming to you through a pharmacy or licensed physician. So we'll see where the FDA lands on that. But again, this is more data that very much supports what a lot of the top people within the CBD or cannabis space have been saying for several years now, basically since inception, which is that you should be focusing on the naturally derived plant matter versus lab created or synthesized CBD or THC products, which again is where we've seen all of the downsides from THC or CBD on the market today, has been the artificially created or lab synthesized or isolated versions of those products going to the market. That's where you're seeing adverse effects or allergic reactions or something on the negative side, or again, either just no effect, which is again equally useless. Moving on to OPTI Health Corporation, who provided the following overview and update of its facility construction and controlled substance dealer license activities to date. So OPTI began construction of its 2 adjacent 10,000 square foot facilities in Princeton, BC in August of 2020. And phase 1 included all the civil engineering, including perimeter controls, foundations, building exteriors, water and sewage connections, interior drainage, and flooring, which has now been completed and approved. So the second phase, which commenced in January of 2021, involved a comprehensive pharmaceutical-grade interior build-out of the functional mushroom cultivation and processing facility, including state-of-the-art machinery and processing equipment, as well as an advanced analytics laboratory, and is expected to reach completion this summer, with the final preparations to commence planting in the third quarter of 2021. And the environmental design employs high, efficient, clean room technology throughout the facility, and the OPTI team brings previous successful experience with similar technology, which is being leveraged to make an application for valuable power consumption energy plants, offering significant cost advantages for an annualized basis. Now, as a result of the unusually mild winter conditions and rapid adoption of pandemic health and safety measures, the OPTI team is pleased to report that the Phase 1 completed ahead of schedule. And the entire project currently was originally under budget, which was proposed $8.2 million. So it's anticipated that in April we'll bring the Stage 3 security inspection under the auspices of the Office of Controlled Substances, which manages applications for controlled drugs and substance dealers license submitted in accordance with the Controlled Drugs and Substance Act. And the company has completed the application intake and review phase and is confident that the facility meets or exceeds the legally required security obligations. Now, OPTI Health COO and Director Brian Safarik comments, "Our efforts in Princeton are moving ahead rapidly, and every day brings us even closer to our goals. We're ahead of schedule, under budget, and perhaps most importantly, the civic leadership have been extraordinarily supportive. I want to personally thank Mayor Spencer Coyne and Economic Development Director Grace Schatz for their ongoing commitment and support, and interest in what we're doing has seen us receive many excellent resumes with strong science backgrounds. We've been approached by numerous professors and researchers across North America reaching out to work with OPTI as interest in the mushroom sector continues to grow, and this year ahead is looking even more promising than I had envisioned when we began, and the entire team is excited about the promise of so many positive and rewarding opportunities ahead." So OPTI focusing on their large-scale mushroom facility. It is very interesting to see that you're having that much momentum from the medical and really university community, but that is what we are starting to see, is a lot of people within the medical field, a lot of people who are doing research in certain fields and universities are now starting to see that there is really a different avenue of medicine that's becoming available when you're looking at psychedelic medicines, when you're looking at cannabinoid-based technologies. These offer up a lot of unique research opportunities that are kind of a once-in-a-lifetime research opportunity. You're not going to have this sort of momentum surrounding new plant science build up again anytime soon because, hopefully people do gain enough of the knowledge and maintain it over the next couple of generations that there's no need to sort of rediscover plant-based technologies that we've had access to for thousands of years. And I really do think as well that what's convincing a lot of people to turn into these industries is the effects of a lot of these products that are already on the market today. If you've been paying attention to the amazing results that a lot of these psilocybin early tests have been having in Canada, it seems the proof is very much in the pudding to not be a supporter of psilocybin research and to not be interested yourself as a someone who's in the medical field or someone who's just an average person who's interested in their own better health, mental health specifically. It's kind of hard to ignore. And again, the results continue to be more and more positive. You're not seeing anything on the negative side come out towards the use of psilocybin, even towards the use of ketamine. You're having amazing results right now. LSD, well, I think will always have a little bit more skepticism around it, and I don't think it'll ever be a massively adopted psychedelic compound that's used for psychotherapy, mainly due to the longevity of the usage, unless that gets adopted and changed where you have a shorter onset time, shorter overall effect of the drug. I don't think it'll be used, mainly because, again, I mean, you could see it in a microdosing sense, which it already has been used as more of a recreational microdosing use, where you're seeing lots, again, I've mentioned this many times, but you have a lot of the tech producers of the world microdose either acid or psilocybin quite regularly, and it does create a sort of mental alertness and cognitive clarity that's extremely beneficial to those fields, especially high intensity, highly focused fields. And I do think that that could be more the route you see for LSD, is maybe less medicinal and a little bit more recreational and sort of enhancing of a product, in probably combination with a series of nutraceuticals. That's how I would see that play out. But it'll be very interesting to see what starts happening with the psilocybin community once facilities like Optimize become fully operational and you start seeing these products come out to the market. Again, that's still not going to be probably happening for another year or so, but you can see there's a lot of momentum surrounding it. And lastly, today we look at Psilo Wellness, as well as, so they're a wellness company in the psychedelics and functional mushroom space, as well as eHave, trading on the OTC as EHVVF, who is a provider of digital therapeutics for the psychedelic and mental health sectors, who announced plans to collaborate on the data study in coordination with select volunteer participants in Psilo Wellness's Jamaican psilocybin facilitated wellness retreat. Now, the study will focus on studying transitions in and out of the altered state of consciousness caused by psychedelic molecules and offer a safe and powerful means of advancing knowledge of the neurobiology and non-ordinary conscious states. Now, advancing the understanding of the neurobiological underpinnings of immersive states of consciousness could ultimately help researchers find better treatment approaches for diseases such as chronic pain, depression, major or persistent bipolar disorder, general anxiety, ADHD, schizophrenia, and eHave's proprietary dashboard will be used to collect and sort data from the brain mapping study. Now, eHave will integrate the Brain Scientific's NeuroCap and NeuroEEG to acquire data from participants in real time. And the study with Psilo Wellness will allow eHave to deploy NeuroCap and NeuroEEG in order to capture the data around the electrophysiological changes in the brain pre, mid, and post-psychedelic drug administration. And this will allow researchers to measure the efficacy of psychedelic molecules on various mental health indications that might open new doorways for psychedelic research and development of molecules to address various mental health disorders with great precision and efficiency. eHave CEO Ben Kaplan said, "Brain mapping reveals which areas of the brain are not working the way they should be, as well as how those areas are affected by external factors," Mr. Kaplan continued. Now, the brain mapping process will allow us to see inside the brain to identify the effects of the psilocybin molecules and its derivatives on brainwaves. And from the data we receive from the brain map, a report will be generated for each patient that shows the areas affected. Now, Psilo Wellness is delighted to contribute on discovering innovative methods to assist in delivering the most optimal experience of wellness retreat participants through the screening of psychoactivity, which maybe enable us to learn more of the therapeutic dosing of psilocybin products, commented Douglas K. Gordon, the Chief Executive Officer of Psilo Wellness. Scientific approaches such as this align with our ongoing commitment to leverage technology, applications, and formats such as our patent-pending psilocybin nasal spray to both destigmatize and transform the psychedelics landscape. Now, the study will assimilate data of select volunteers of Jamaican psilocybin retreat participants by measuring brain activity for a duration of 15 to 30 minutes before the administration and its derivatives, and the participants shall wear an EEG NeuroCap during the entire process, and the study for 15 to 30 minutes after the administration of psilocybin and its derivatives. So pretty cool study coming out from both Psilo Wellness and eHave. I think that's a really cool combination of companies to be working on really what a lot of people have done minor research on so far. But again, just due to the access of psychedelic assisted therapy wellness facilities, psychedelic products, and again, also being able to work with an EEG setup or these neurocaps. You haven't seen a lot of this. You've seen very minimal data that's out there so far, and I do think that this, again, will be another huge boon towards the psychedelic industry. I think Silo Wellness having the nasal spray version of their psilocybin products is definitely very cool and very much what you're going to see a lot of these psychedelic based products look like. Again, when you're looking at how a lot of these companies are paying attention to what their products should look like when it comes to function and format, and how to launch these eventually into the medical and eventually even into the recreational sectors potentially. They are looking very much at the sort of next generation products in the cannabinoid industry. So they're looking at nasal sprays, they're looking at sublingual tablets, they're looking at increased onset time, precise dosage. They're looking at vaporizer technology, and a lot of different methods and a lot of different formats, and moving away from just traditional dried mushrooms. I don't think when you go to any of these advanced clinics in the future, you're just going to be given a handful of dried psilocybin mushrooms. It's going to be coming in some sort of easy to ingest format that's going to be low impact on the experience. That's something that becomes very poignant for a lot of these companies, is they do need to create a product or a format that really doesn't impact the overall therapeutic experience. So they have to do a lot of sort of pre-prep before anyone actually does these psychedelic dosed experiences, where they're trying to get them into a proper mental state and prepare them for the experience they're going to be induced to. And then also they don't want to tamper with the overall results of that. So having a low or a slow onset time will be something that could dramatically change the results as someone starts to fill with anxiety about when this is going to hit them and how fast it's going to hit them and how hard. The waiting effect is something that is very much a result changer when you're looking at psychedelics. So a lot of interesting things. That study will be something I will be paying close attention to. It'd be very interesting to see the different type of results. Again, there's a lot of beautiful images and little bits of research that you can see already where they have done EEG scanning of brain activity during different psychoactive experiences, and very, very interesting results. And that is, again, some of the data that already points a lot of people towards the psychedelic industry for interest, as those effects and that brain activity is extremely unique, and it is extremely valuable information that could change the field of medicine and psychology quite dramatically in the years to come. That's all for today's podcast. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated's CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.